Oh, that is. I see edited content.
Yes, folks, we have started a whole new Reddit subcommunity with that conversation.
And now this entire interview
you're
deserves
welcome.
to be on Tumblr.
I was about to say, I don't think it's going to be YouTube ready there, Frax. I think you'll get some banning going on.
Maybe edit out a little bit
Oh
of
no,
that.
we got Drax demonetized. Oh.
They're coming to rip off his license plate as we speak.
Yeah,
Well, that's why Drax is going to cut that out.
It's just gonna be covered with the Mario going down the tunnel, ow, 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 over and over. It's gonna go to video. People.
Drax, cut this out. Cut this out of the interview.
Ow, ow, ow.
There you go.
Oh, happy. But I mean, earlier you mentioned how Destiny actually does a good job of listening to its community. I feel like whenever D1 was going on, they did a really good job during that. And then whenever D2 came out, like it seemed like there wasn't much actual, like, I guess that presence basically wasn't there anymore. At least that's what it seemed like to me, because I mean, people were voicing a major disdain with this game, and there wasn't much being done. And whenever the first DLC came out, nothing changed. Second DLC came out, they added EPs. Like, that was the only real addition.
Well, you gotta look at it this way, right? The way the Bungie does their development is kind of unique. And the fact that they have a development team working on the next full version, and then they have a sustaining team that works on the DLCs and any fixes, the sandbox. So the problem with that is the team that developed D2 wasn't the team listening to players and developing all the sandbox updates as we were playing. Okay? So the problem there is it looked like there was a huge disconnect because none of that feedback that we were giving them for D1 was making it to D2, right? What they saw was the initial release of D1 and noticed which kind of players played and which kind of players didn't, which was the hardcore players tended to stick through the game, and the players that found it too difficult, or the casual player, we lost them. But the casual player community spends a lot of money, right? If you look at a lot of players, right, we have huge game libraries, all right? And most of it we don't play, but we spent the money though, okay? So how do you tap into that? And so, yeah, so, you know, so how do you tap into that? You make it accessible. And the problem is they tilted to too much accessibility, which made it boring for us who committed all of this effort in getting D1 to where we wanted it, right? By voicing our opinions. The sustaining team did all this work, and it's like all that work the sustaining team did, none of it was incorporated, right? And it's not like it felt like a completely, I'm not gonna say completely, but it felt like a different game, right? It felt like a different game. So you're like, well, wait a second, what happened to the game that I loved and I worked hard on, and my characters and everything else, and I got accustomed to, and now you're asking me to change it. You know, these were supposed to be small progressive changes, not a reversal. You know, and that's what it felt like. It felt like a huge reversal. So I think we're now in the development cycle where the sustaining teams have taken over, right? So the only way the sustaining teams are successful is by listening to the community, and I think that's what we're getting at this point. The question will really be for me is what happens when we get to D3. You know, did the messages and everything else from this cycle, us getting this to a final great form, stick with us, or are we going to rinse and repeat? Start over, yell about a crappy game, and then wait 2 or 3 DLCs until everything gets nicely corrected, you know?
Yeah, it really doesn't need to happen like that again. They really dropped the ball on D2. And what really gets me is, wasn't the budget for this game like $2 million?
Yeah, the budgets were
Something
really
like
high.
that.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, just in the last year of D1, didn't they make? I believe it was 8 million just off of Everest. Nothing else, just Everest.
Hordes and hordes of frozen hive, I mean.
So
Yeah, I
I
believe
mean,
it.
they had the money. There's no way that somebody can tell me that they didn't have the money to pay more people to fine tune some extra things.
No, but it doesn't work like that, right? It's a corporate culture. It's a corporate setup, right? So the way they set up those teams and how one team feeds feedback into the other. See, eventually when you do a development project or any kind of project for that matter, when you're building, architecting, anything else, right? The project management basically states that we have to lock in changes at some point, right? You don't want scope creep. Scope creep, and so overruns, people losing jobs, and things costing way more than they should. So eventually you're going to lock in the development and you're going to take whatever you get, right? So the problem that they probably had is this feedback that they're getting, they had already baked in these changes, and to go back and modify it was going to be problematic. So they gambled. And the gamble lost. Okay, they gambled that the catering to the casual player would fix their issues, and that us, the end game content players, could be satiated through DLCs and other things. That's probably the way they thought about it. All right, and the problem is they got a lot of outcry, right? I mean, but if you look at now the latest, I think the vid log that they produced before this DLC drop, before Forsaken drop, basically it stated we learned our lesson and we're going to cater more and more to the end content player, right? And that is a homage to the fact that they messed up when they moved from Destiny 1, all the loyalty and goodwill they gained, and they squandered that going to Destiny 2. You know, but part of that reason was the way they set up those development teams, and secondarily the fact that they made these decisions early on how Destiny 2 was going to play and be, and they locked those in. And I'm almost guaranteeing is that they probably looked at the cost and the time it would take. And we've got to remember, Activision is a publicly traded company, and the street does not treat any company who doesn't make its street date for a product very nicely. You take a huge hit. So if you're looking at all those execs and those upper level managers, that's their pocketbooks, right? And from their point of view, and the stockholders, they're going to be like, you better not miss that Christmas holiday window release date. That game better be out on time. I don't give a crap. You know what I'm saying? If they had to hold it off, smaller game studios will hold things off for another year, okay? But when you're in this cycle, certain EA titles, certain Activision, Blizzard, Bungie titles, they're on that march. They're on that quarterly march, and if you don't produce the game on time, that's why Call of Duty is on a cycle. It's like clockwork, right? Once that engine was created, once the way the files interact, how the updates interact, all that stuff, once that's baked in, it's very hard to start making changes that change the AI, the logic, how the economy works, because those are the foundation of the game. And once they made those decisions and locked them in, I think that's what killed them. They were already locked into it, and they had that, they already had the marketing ready to go. They already told the street it was going to be out by a certain day. They were counting on those sales for the quarterly numbers. Forget it. Now that once the business side had it locked in, there was nothing on the dev side they could have done. So I think that's that's something of their own making, and hopefully they've learned from it. But then again, you never know. You never know. To a point that one of these game developers, like I said, I'm in the industry, so one of the game developers went ahead and voiced to me that it's a no-win situation for them sometimes. That if you gave everybody $100, okay, someone would be pissed that the person who just bought the game yesterday gets $100, but they've been playing it for 5 years. Why? And they only get $100. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you see that a lot on Kickstarter too, right? People who join Kickstarter were like, "Oh, there was a delay. You didn't tell us there was going to be a delay, so you should give us something for free." And I'm like, dude, it only says it right at the outset. It's product development. It may not happen. I'm like, why are you asking for something if it's delayed? It's hilarious.
Well, it's kind of similar to how they did with Destiny. Whenever I think it was Taken King, you basically got a massive jump start for people who just came in from Taken King.
Yep.
I mean, you had everybody else that started with vanilla, They did all the other DLCs. Here comes Taken King. They're ready to go. 1 weekend of Taken King, and you got somebody that's been there for 4 days, and they're in the exact same spot as you. And you're like,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's painful. It's painful.
yeah. But I mean, like,
And-
I get it. You know, you can't necessarily get too pissed off about it, because if they didn't have it to where somebody could be right basically at the same level as somebody else,
Yeah.
even if they just came into the game, I mean,
approaching the temple, Petra.
how motivated would you be to continue playing a game if you've got to play 3
Exactly.
months just to get to where somebody else is?
Exactly. And Red and I have had this discussion about Assassin's Creed Origins, right? So my son, I bought the game for him when it first came out, but he never played it. And then I decided, last month, I'll just play it. So I picked it up, started playing it, but the community is so dead that the community events, their weekly community events, there's not enough people to get enough kills on the bosses to make the community number. So I wrote into Ubisoft telling them, I just bought the game. I said, I paid the same amount of money, I'm like, how am I not entitled to the community stuff? But nobody's playing it. I said, and yes, they did go ahead and give me a boost. So my level was boosted so I could play the original as well as the DLCs right away. Okay, so that was great. But then again, you have this content where you're stuck. You're left in this limbo. So I do appreciate the fact that Destiny doesn't leave you in that limbo. The community is big enough that you won't find someone not to do Nightfall, or you won't find someone not to do a raid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, definitely in that game, I can, for the past month, I've contributed, but we always end up with 25% still left to go by the time reset day happens, and I have not gotten any of that in Anubis Arbor. Because there's just not enough people to do it. And so, what did Ubisoft support do? They went ahead and gave me some of the Ubisoft Club coins for my trouble and told me to go away. Okay.
And told me to go away.
yeah.
It's basically, it's why should we care? We're not focused on Origins anymore. We're focused on Odyssey.
On Odyssey, exactly. And that was the whole thing. Buy Odyssey. And it's not like, and you're like, but wait a second. You're still producing and selling that other game. You just put it on sale in the PSN store, so what happened to all those people that bought it? Yeah, so. Alright, I'll be right back, guys. Gotta throw some stuff out. Hold on.
That's what happens whenever you have an open party. You wanted to do an interview about a game that has a massive community that actually wants to play with other people. And now you're complaining because people are joining.
Oh my god, this went from like 1 hour video to like it's gonna be like a 3 hour video.
See, that's the thing. I can't call you a sweat because you're too Canadian. You're too nice to tell people to go screw off. You'd really be screwed if somebody was like, I got a free box of donuts, can I be in the interview? Do you play Destiny? No, but can I be in the interview? It's a free box of donuts.
As long as you have the donuts, yeah. Or promise
I mean-
to take him to Tim Hortons.
But yeah, it does seem like Destiny finally, did listen. Or at least you actually put out the effort to make it actually seem like they've been listening and finally decided to do something about it. And whenever they put out that video about, talking about Forsaken, they basically were like, hey, we took every bit of information that y'all gave us and we put it in here. I wouldn't say they put every bit like they said they did, because I've yet to see my Galahorn, but
I don't think they're gonna have to get back. Maybe on like.
I wish they'd start
you're
making
not gonna
references
see
to
that.
it at least.
Maybe like year 3, maybe. I don't know.
But I do like the change that they did with Thunderlord. It's definitely more of an exotic, although they did do a change that I don't think some people would necessarily notice unless they were actually one of those PvP people that use Thunderlord, because it's an amazing weapon for PvP. At least in D1 it was. it was only taking 4 shots in D1. Now you need more than 4 shots to kill somebody in PvP with Thunder.
Yeah.
So that's one change that I definitely noticed with it. But I do severely like the fact that it is most definitely living up to its name now with the perks that they have with it. Especially with like arc burn going on. I mean, 1 bullet and you can clear out 30 thrall.
I like that.
Are you sure? I mean, I was gonna invite a couple more people in here and keep this interview going. I was thinking it was gonna be like one of them 24-hour videos.
We are now on hour 12 in our discussion in Destiny.
Exactly.
And
I was about to say, instead of the actor studio,
opinions
Destiny
of
studio.
who is the hottest Destiny character.
Hi, Cora.
There's more.
There's more? Oh my gosh!
Oh my
I want to
god.
see her though. I want to see her on the next DLC or the next
I
like
do- I
real
do-
stages of Destiny. Because
Yeah, I do want to see her back. I think she's nefarious. Let's find out what she's been up to. I think we're all guessing the wrong queen she's serving.
I think she's playing with a worm god, but not in
Yep.
ways that any of us are hoping.
Yep. There's been a rumor since D1 that there are people that like Dark Guardians versus ourselves that have utilize the darkness versus the light. That was an initial Destiny 1 thing, but now it's kind of played out more to the darkness is so powerful, in order to beat it, you have to use its own energy against it, basically. And so I think that's what's going to happen. At least that's the rumor mill going on in a couple of the YouTube videos on lore channels.
But when did all this start? Was this back with the original developers of Destiny? Because
A little bit. No, yeah, but some of that foundation was laid out from the Taken King onwards. I mean, a lot of the original stuff from the original Destiny, they've shored that up, like the Anna Bray storyline and the fact that the stranger is Anna Bray's sister. All right.
Yeah.
So
What?
that's a Destiny 1 thing. Okay. So
How?
you didn't know,
'Cause she's
you didn't know that? Yeah. Yeah.
That's human. That's EXO. I mean,
So here.
I feel like you're dropping
so-
bombshells.
Okay, so here's a bombshell. The Clovis Bray company is the one who developed the EXO technology, and one of the things that we're going to get in the Drifter DLC or the one after that is that whole explanation about how EXOs are created, why their memories are wiped, that type of stuff. Okay, that's basically we're going to go to an ice planet, and I forgot the name of the planet, or the moon. And so that's what we're going to get the whole background story on Anna Bray and the sister and the EXOs and all that. And we'll more than likely find out that the Drifters encounter with that black substance that's behind him in the Gambit, along with the Awokens encounter during the Golden Age with the Dark Force, and then the encounter that, what's her name, who's the girl with the bow? The one that we carry, the exotic bow. What's her name, Thrax?
Oh, the one for the Wishender?
Yeah, the Awoken hero. Yeah, the one for the Shattered Throne. What's her name? The one with the statue.
I can't remember her name.
So, for her, they think that she either got killed or got hurt when fighting those guys. Okay, so we're going to find out, I think, in Destiny 3, who that darkness is and why, and all the different enemies the darkness brings, all the different kind of characters, because it almost seems like everybody describes it a little different. The Awoken describe them as metallic sounding and screechy. I think the Drifter described it as being kind of ghostly and gooey, or you couldn't even tell it was there, it was so silent. And then I forgot who the last one described it as, but there's 3 different descriptions of what the darkness looks like. And in fact, if you go to some of those lore channels, they'll actually show drawings of what they believe the darkness was at the outset, because even like if you look at each of the DLCs that we've had, a lot of that artwork was done in Destiny 1. Okay, it just got fleshed out in the DLCs, but a lot of that stuff was already in the concept art. So that's what a lot of the guys are using. They're taking that concept art and saying, okay, well, we haven't seen this yet. So like the Darkness's ships, those triangles, they were in the concept art of Destiny 1 before the beta kicked. Okay. So a lot of that stuff is going to get used. It's just how they tied it all together is different than they originally had thought. And so I think it's just kind of coalesced. They're not throwing out any ideas, but they're kind of coalescing it now into one final stream for this last round, for the DLCs as well as for Destiny 3. So I think we're going to get a nice lead into that. And I think, it's like I was saying in my portion of the interview, the whole lore backdrop has seemed to coalesce nicely now, and it doesn't seem as disjointed as it did in the past. So yes, Anna Bray's sister is the stranger. Sorry for the spoiler.
No, it's all good. I mean, it's all good.
You know what I've always wondered? You remember way back in D1 where we had the PvP map called the Drifter?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
And you had in the middle of that, you had
broken servitor.
it didn't say whether it was a servitor or what it was, but it was like a big mass of darkness. Okay, is that what the Drifter is towing behind his ship?
I don't think that could be the case, because that thing looks pretty massive. And that seems
I know that, but it's like, could it have started out that, and while it was contained, but while he's been doing his stuff, could it have grown?
Since the collapse and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Containment, so he's had it made do. It's grown since.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's the only one that survived of his crew.
This is went from an interview to a conspiracy theory. I like it.
Exactly. And now we're gonna go ahead and get to meet the gunslinger too in the next DLC. Yeah. Is he coming after us, or he's coming after the Drifter? What do you think? I have no loyalty to the Drifter, although he gave us Gambit, he gave us trust and and bygones.
Yeah.
And the Maleficent.
Bad Omens.
Yeah, the Malfeasance, I mean, it's a pretty nice gun.
He gave us lots of stuff, so I guess maybe he bought our loyalty.
Yep.
He's got stuff and things, and we like stuff and things.
We like stuff and things.
My loyalty is not for sale, but it is for rent.
There you go. There you go. So if the gunslinger goes ahead and has better loot,
Right.
you would change your allegiance in a heartbeat. I see.
It's like, I don't know, if you got anything better, because this guy, he's got some really good weapons, better than
Do you have my thorn?
Yeah, do you have my thorn? No. Oh, the gunslinger has it. Oh, that's too bad for you.
That's too bad, exactly.
Sucks to be a drifter, because you're gonna be floating through space here in a second.
Exactly. It's like, the gunslinger shows up in the room and you just walk to the side. All you guys pass it out.
You're gonna be drifting when I put a cap in your ass and shove you out the airlock.
Exactly.
No, I think it was basically, for me, it's gonna be something along the lines of, alright, you're the man with the golden gun, or, hey, I got a question, do you have my thorn? No. Are you the one bringing back the last word? Yeah. Alright, I'm sorry, but you gotta go. Nothing personal, but I'm gonna strangle you in your sleep.
I still have nightmares about I was never able to get the last word in D1.
What?
Like,
Oh, it was your galley horn, huh?
yeah, I was never able to get that.
Believe me when I say this, you're better off not getting that cancer.
And now, trundling along in
hated that
PvP and just suddenly, bam, 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 you're dead. It's like, oh, I
Yeah,
can still build
the
last
range
word.
on it was always broken.
It's true.
That's why, like, whenever everybody's like, oh yeah, they're bringing it back, I'm like, God, I'm gonna hate this game.
Well, that's kind of like why I would like Icebreaker to come back, but I know why they don't bring it back, because it would break PvP. So,
Well,
Well, I thought
mean,
they said they were
honestly,
bringing it back.
Possibly be drilling for.
that's still rumor, man.
honestly, I think they
Still
could
rumor.
easily bring back the icebreaker because I mean the regeneration speed for the ammo wasn't that fast at all
After the nerf, yeah.
for PvP. Yeah,
After that nerf.
It's pretty strong.
So I mean, yeah, it was a pretty amazing weapon at first. But I think if they're gonna bring back the icebreaker, they should do the legit thing, the all-American, I love my country and my rifle thing of bringing back the heavy ammo glitch. I'm just saying, don't hate me. Don't hate the
Or
play.
the
hate me.
Gallahorn.
Yeah,
Gallahorn's not coming back. You know it's not.
I'm gonna have to agree with him. I mean, you kind of can't bring that gun back because it is the 2 hidden perks on it. I mean, it's the best weapon in the game. You can't beat it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why it ticked me off so much whenever people would want to go around mayhem with it. Like, stop destroying the fun of this game. I know it's mayhem, I know you get a lot of ammo, but you're just running around, you're a horrible person.
Pretty much.
And there's no chemo for it.
While you're chasing everybody around with a pre-nerf thorn. Yeah.
No, I was never that person. I was never that person that go there and shoot you 2 or 3 times and then run around the corner. I was the person that shoots you 3 or 4 times and then dies because your Hawkmoon killed me with 2 shots.
Oh yeah. That's me.
But then I, had to trail you on my little death feed and see you die afterwards, which made me feel like, mother. You might be better with that hand cannon than I am, but I still killed you.
One of the
But
big
yeah.
disappointments in this game as far as a weapons exotic, the Cerberus +1.
The auto rifle shotgun?
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a lot better than what it actually turned out to be.
From what I've heard, it's amazing if you're in shotgun range.
Yeah.
But if you're at shotgun range, I'm sorry, but my Kilos is gonna take care of you.
Yeah.
You're gonna be
that
hamburger
and,
meat.
yeah, that and the other one, the primary one.
The
Oh, the
Dust Rock
Dustrock Blues.
Dust Rock.
Rock.
Yeah, Dust
I
Rock with the right
I
rolls.
actually don't like that gun, to be honest.
Yeah, it has to have the right rolls. With the right rolls, it's a killer weapon. And but I do prefer the Aquilas though, for sure.
I just really hate that they changed it. Because, I mean, it was an exotic class weapon, and now they've literally made it legendary again.
The what?
Bacillus. Making the trench barrel, making it to where you can only shoot 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, always missing our stuff.
This is why we can't have nice things.
I know.
Because, you're too good at Gambit, so let's ruin it for everybody. That's one thing. Like, in some cases with Bungie, if they're listening to the community and trying to, change things, they sometimes overdo it.
Yep. And then they have to walk it back sometimes, which is
Sometimes,
hilarious.
Could it be? Could it be?
Tractor
Oh my gosh,
cannon.
don't judge me.
Mhm. It does suck.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it has its uses, but there's
Not
other
as much
exotics
as it
that I've
used
yet to
to.
get.
Yeah.
They could be a tractor guy in the raid.
Directo!
Who's about to get
I'm in a bad
murked? I saw that.
Like I saw
Dubs, dude.
I saw
I
the
don't think
tracks across the screen, and I was like, oh no, I'm screwed.
What did you do to himself?
Is Guff still playing with you guys? I don't hear him. I don't hear his jokes. Mm-hmm. He's concentrating on actually doing a good job. Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of effort, man.
They can all take some of the big ones.
And yeah, what's up with Price? He's obviously didn't get enough baking doing the regular cookie shit, and that he had to buy the emotes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's just sorry, my friend. You know, so like bake some real cookies, alright? Bake some real ones.
I don't want to bake real cookies.
Why?
Obviously you
Because
do.
you're
You
gonna turn
gotta.
into 400 pounds because all you do is eat,
Exactly.
eat cookies and play Destiny.
Yeah,
His
if you're
subconscious
wanting to do
bias.
the grave,
You sure you don't want to ask who we'd rather take on a date, Anna Bray or Ikor?
Yeah, I was about to say, so like, where's the Destiny swimsuit calendar? When's that
Yeah.
coming out? You know?
But
You
for
know,
real though,
where's the Destiny version of what's that game? Dead or Alive? The Dead or Alive volleyball. So where's the Destiny volleyball? You know,
just
we're gonna
chilling.
see Lord Shaxx in his shorts, you know, and
no.
and Ikora in bikini, you know, the whole bit.
Zavala and his little Speedo.
Exactly. It'll be so damn
On his
funny.
little loincloth.
no.
Not on the front, on the side.
No one wants to see Lord Shaxx in a banana hammock.
That's why it's not gonna be Shaxx. It's gonna be Zavala. You gotta
No,
pick
I
that
don't
blue
wanna
see
tip
that
with
either.
bright red.
No.
Oh god.
That would be hilarious, though. That would be hilarious. Little special
Tumblr
end
won't
of
even
credit
accept
game
this.
mode. Yeah, end of game mode.
I can already hear people typing Destiny Rule 34.
Destiny
I know what it
34.
is. That's wish number 17. No. Wish 17. I got it.
Like, oh,
I heard that, you wretch.
And when are they supposed to be bringing trials
Feels
back?
safe saying such things because he is on IO
March.
and I am not.
Ah.
supposedly. They haven't really said too much shit about it though.
Entering a Hilbert space. If the Taken have not misaligned the Pyramidian space geometric intuitions. I did not sneeze, you fool. It is an infinite dimensional functional
Yeah,
space.
Lemon's so
The
mad
rents
about that.
open. No, why am I wasting my breath?
Well, I
That's
mean,
what
like D1, you know, people were over there, you know, doing trials because the weapons were, you know, worth the whole flawless BS. D2's weapons weren't all that great. Correct me
the
if I'm
armor
wrong,
looked
though.
amazing though.
Yeah, you know how much, you know, I like cosmetics.
What the fashion Destiny. Weapons, yeah, their weapons were never great. Trials. I think the Darkest Blow is probably the best Trials weapon that people used.
Yeah, I actually have that one.
Yeah,
And I was actually surprised that I got it.
yeah, back when you could actually get Trials weapons just from doing other people doing Trial stuff. A lot of people from the clan, I think, got a bunch of Trial stuff because Harley sold weapons.
Yeah,
So I was
Oh
starting to
no,
go,
that was so
I
nice.
actually didn't get it from that. I got it from actually participating in trials.
Oh, like
I
Prime
sure as
and
hell didn't participate. Yeah. I love it.
Thanks for thinking that you know, I never did stuff like that. And it's the one underneath that we're missing.
because I was going like
Uh,
flawless each week, everybody was getting all this stuff for free.
Loved it. Loved it. I didn't have to get all sweaty.
So-
But really good.
and that's why Thrax has got the Luna's Hell.
Exactly.
Because he's went and sweaty all those times. He was ready for real, for the old BS of comp.
Yep, exactly. And he's entitled to it. It's all his. I don't know what I'm missing.
This is nothing
until I get shot by it, but that's okay.
Until I get my face raped off. I don't know where
Yeah,
all this
exactly.
is. But no, like, everybody was all time about, the doctrine of passing. And whenever I got my doctrine of passing, the one time that I went flawless, and it was, you know, the God roll, as they called it. I mean, I was happy with it, you know? I mean, it's kind of hard not to be.
Well, yeah.
Hazel, quit looking.
Abstract, I'm gonna go get some food.
You do that.
And then the interview will
Don't
be
tell him how to live his life.
done for now.
Damn it.
Just like
I do
5
that
hour
all the
long
time.
interview.
I even go ahead and tell Sporaxis sometimes, you know, he acts like my kid. I'm like, what the hell am I doing giving you fatherly advice? Cut it out! It's like crazy. But he's like, the old man's crazy. Shut up. Yeah, who's this fool? You ain't my daddy.
You can't tell me what to do. You're not my real father.
Jeez. So, I'm soon to be 27, I think. Yeah, 27. And, this chick has basically become like an adopted sister to me. She, has got this, like, guy friend of hers, and he calls me sir. The dude's 20, and I'm like, I'm not that freaking much older than you. Like, kind of like slapping me in the face with the whole sir thing. It's like, you're a sir. Oh, wait, no. Oh, we gonna have issues too.
Like, I ain't got any kids. What the hell are you talking about?
Calm down there, youngster.
Nameless limit.
It's dead. It's real dead.
I'm concluding this interview for now.
Oh, just now?